Welcome to Plugged In ChathamKent, your business podcast brought to you by Economic Development. It is not muted. No, it's good. We're going to leave this part in. So once we did forget to unmute the mic, episode 2, which is why it goes episode 1, 3, and forward on. Because episode 2, this thing blinks in the middle if we don't unmute, and it's very awkward. Afterwards,
There's been some disappointment.
There was one time it was really sad because I was all excited about it. It was up. I even woke up at 3 a.m. to get the thing live. I'm like, this is gonna be great, and there was no sound, and I just sort of slumped back to bed. It was sad, but anyway.
You could have put subtitles.
So the whole thing was.
There was no sound. It was just
that would be soul crushing.
It was
solid mic though, and great video.
It was great. Yeah. I would maybe done subtitles, except that there's also, for those listening, there's the audio version only, which is on iTunes and Google and that sort of thing. So if you listen to the audio version, the subtitles wouldn't work very well.
Makes total sense.
I guess I could read the subtitles of that, right?
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, anyhow, we don't do that. But, okay, so I'm Andrew. I work at Economic Development. I'm going to go around the table. You are?
Taylor Hughes in Economic Development, Small Business Center.
Wonderful.
Ryan Rusnak, realtor at Advanced Realty Solutions.
Perfect.
On Queen Street in Chatham.
And?
Ashley Ewald, Mobile Mortgage Specialist, ChathamKent.
Wonderful. And you forgot to mention, you're also the chair of...
The United Way campaign this year. Right. Yes, absolutely. It's the in the past, I guess it's only been one person, but this year it's our entire office and the spouses, so it's more of a kind of a delegated role, but yeah, it's been awesome so far. A lot of work, but it's been a lot of fun.
You were slanging 50-50 tickets, I think, out at Maple City, right? And doing
absolutely. Absolutely. Had good sales there. I actually got the machine in my truck if you guys are interested today. I go with it. We're selling tickets until the draw's October 11th. But all the money stays local. The jackpot's getting really huge, and we've been selling all over town, RBC and everywhere. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That's good. Sorry, Ashley, and you mentioned you're now on the board of...
The ChathamKent Safety Village.
ChathamKent Safety Village. You've had 300 meetings so far. Yeah. You're well-versed in it. It's totally not 2 meetings. But you're going to be treasurer. Yeah,
I'm going to be treasurer. And it's just a great program in Chatham-Kent to help provide safety in our community, whether it's for children or employment. They even just recently did one where they taught children how to have safety with elders. So if they're with grandma or something happens, they know how to handle that situation.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
There's been people whose lives have been saved here in this community. So it's definitely a great program that's not really recognized that much just because it's out in CM Wilson Conservation. So sometimes it gets forgotten that it's out there, but they do a lot for the community. So
you're both rock stars in like the business world and the volunteering world. This is wow. Okay, we got. I'm going to give you this. You don't have to say it because I just gave you the props. So you're fine.
Just take it and go.
just go let it. Taylor, you asked them to be here on the podcast. What were your thoughts on this?
So I know Ryan and Advanced Realty are pretty community driven. You brought up that you can get Ashley in here as well, and we can kind of hit both nails on the head with kind of a mortgage outlook, as well as just kind of the Chatham-Kent's hot right now, right? So who better to tell us about how hot it is than a realtor that can speak to the market and
so people are buying houses.
Sales
They are. They definitely are. Yeah. Yeah. Yesterday there was 25 sold and conditional solds.
Really?
In Chatham-Kent. Yeah. So it's still a pretty active market, and the prices have really jumped quite a bit. So it's a good time if you're in the market. It's kind of tricky for those first time buyers trying to break into the market. Those are the people you kind of feel for. Mm-hmm. But no, there's a lot going on. It's exciting. A lot of new developments, like on the north and south side. So it's really great.
Yeah, I was looking at because isn't it fun to walk down the streets and look at all of the listings in the windows? At least I do that. I don't know if you guys do that. Oh, you probably do. You probably have to. You probably put them up, don't you?
Actually, our office doesn't have that. But
you don't have that.
But you put them
Your
up
website
at
does.
Yes, CIBC has listing boards, so we put up our listings there at all their branches, and yeah.
I noticed that there are still houses under the 200,000 mark that look like nice places. Like it's some good places out there.
We're one of the only markets probably in Ontario that you can still get into the market, buy a house for under 200. But how long it's going to stay that way, I'm not so sure. When I started, so I got my license July 2014, so just over 5 years ago, and the average selling price then was $151,000.
Yeah.
Average selling price today, $255,000.
Wow.
So it's that's, I think, 59% increase just in the last 5 years. So it's been quite a jump. Things were pretty flat around here, I think, for early 2000s to like 2016, and then things have really spiked up. It's Canada's hidden gem. It
really is.
Yeah.
That was the other thing that you mentioned. We were just recently a part of the Canadian Real Estate Wealth magazine.
Yep.
For being ranked as one of the top 75 best places to invest, I think you'd said.
Yes, one of the hot spots for investment, and especially for like multifamily. A lot of investors are coming here from Toronto, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, because there's still a good return you can make monthly, and it's still an attainable amount to put down at 20%. So we're seeing a lot of investors coming here and investing and fixing up properties, which is great.
Great. So, what are people looking for right now? Like, what's actually? I had a question prepared well ahead of time. If someone was going to try to sell a house right now in Chatham-Kent, what's the one area that they should be investing in the house to help really make it more valuable?
Kitchens and bathrooms.
Kitchen, bathroom,
for sure. Kitchens. That's where people spend probably 75% of their time. A lot of people our age and a bit older, like 20s and 30s, they want that updated kitchen. They don't want the dated kitchens from the 80s and the 90s. So that's what if you're willing to put money into that, you'll see a lot of it out when you go to sell, for sure.
Gotcha.
Do you see a lot of people just refinishing like cabinets and stuff like that to kind of have a bit more of an economical approach to,
for sure,
spicing up a kitchen that might be a little bit dated?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a company in town. I'm not sure if it's called Spray It Like New, but you see that quite a bit. Just because there's good. I mean, you can get cabinets with they're solid wood cabinets. You spray them white or even a different color, put on nice new hardware, and they look great. And it's a lot more affordable than putting in a brand spanking new kitchen.
Putting 20, 30 plus thousand into a yeah,
absolutely.
And then it saves money for your nice bathroom with the bidet.
Yeah. I'm not seeing too many bidets anymore, but I have seen a few.
Well, there's a story behind that one. I don't know if I want to know the story behind it. All right.
Surprise.
So what are some of the hot topics that you see in your world right now? Before we jump into the mortgage side of things, if that's all right.
Problem.
Probably just the fact that right now the Chatham-Kent Real Estate Association tracks all the sales. Okay. So every month the brokerages send we track where the buyers are coming from, and right now they figure 40% of the buyers are coming from out of town. Really? So that's pretty interesting. It's not just GTA, but it's like Hamilton, Welland, Barrie, Kitchener, and even like Lakeshore, Windsor. We're basically the last affordable place in Ontario. I mean, average price here, like I said, $255,000. You look at somewhere like Tillsonburg, it's only a small town, about an hour and 45 minutes from here. Average selling price is $380,000. Wow. It's still like, yes, our prices have gone up, but it's still quite affordable for what you can get for in the 200,000s. And if you're willing to spend, north of 300, you can really get still quite a nice house.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty interesting to see that the economy is still doing strong around here too. I think it's not just like a lot of it's baby boomers that have sold in those bigger markets, like for the 700,000-800,000, sometimes more, and they're looking to come down here and spend 300-400 and live off the difference. But there's still a lot of young people that seem to be coming here as well. So hopefully that continues, because that has kind of a trickle-down effect. They go to eat more. Their kids are playing sports. They're, I think, spending a bit more money in the community than maybe the baby boomers might. But
we've been chatting with a variety of different developers, so I don't want to single any of them out. But a lot of them are saying that they're building at different price points for everyone. But they're trying, some are trying specifically to target that sort of millennial population, that family who are now having families, because they're coming back to this region or coming to this region for work. Because I know, there's a job fair on today with 400 jobs and 53 businesses, and that's just one one indication of the amount of jobs that are available right
And even
now.
drive around, there's help wanted signs everywhere. And I'm not in the market looking for a job, but you can't help but notice it. Like
Yeah.
there is work. There is tons of work out there for people if they're motivated and willing to work and want to work. I mean,
And
it just seems to be that same. If you're online, you hear the same narrative. Like there's no jobs around here, and I'm thinking like there definitely is.
Yeah.
Look around. There is a ton of opportunity.
That's
So
the one thing with that job fair that's on today. With 53 employers, it's the jobs range from skilled labor force to technical and kind of manager, supervisor level positions as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's literally a little bit of everything that's out there. As long as you're kind of in the market looking for it, motivated to get it, then it's there.
You take a place like Scrivendi, which is hiring artificial intelligence programmers for computers in Chatham.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like it's mind-blowing when we have
Yeah.
discussions with them. Like those, if you have a skill, there's probably a job alignment here.
Yeah,
in some
absolutely.
degree. So, but then that explains why you're selling all these houses as well, right?
Yeah.
So, but
The other
let's.
thing you hear about too is
Go
just people moving down from the GTA area because of remote work opportunities that are becoming a lot bigger now, right? So
Yeah,
if I can
absolutely.
sell my house for $600 to $1 million in the GTA and work from my office in my basement in
Yeah.
Chatham, then I stand to make quite a bit there too, right? So
I see that a lot. And, sometimes they still have to make a commute up maybe once a week or once
Right.
every 2 weeks. But, I mean, to them, that's much more affordable than the pricing that, houses and property tax and all that in the GTA is. So
It
And
kind of
that-
seems to be the way the world's moving, right? As long as they have the internet, I mean, which everyone does now, that you can be
for
pretty
the
much
most
anywhere.
part,
for the
for the
most part,
most part, yeah.
You can be pretty much anywhere. So that's a nice thing for this area, like a nice advantage. And I think why we're going to continue to see like population growth, and things are only going to get better.
Yeah, we were driving along Highway 3, speaking of no internet. I'm sure they have some internet out there, but my phone didn't. So I took some time and noticed there's a place up for sale that's, and so anybody who's in Toronto watching this, it's 1.4 million right now, okay? And that sort of sounds like a great average price until we find out that the house is 100 and something years old and it was a vintage, like restored, it's beautiful. And it has horse stables, and it has a second house on it that would have been for all the helpers, and it, like the ends keep going, and you're like, this is only 1.4 million. I mean, I don't have 1.4 million, but if I did, this is amazing.
But think in Toronto, I mean, there's condos trading for that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Like-
yeah,
1,500 square foot, 2-bedroom condos are selling for that. So it's crazy. Even put that a bit closer to London or KW, and what would it be? Probably a lot more than
yeah,
1.4 million.
yeah. If it was
Certainly.
a little about 20 minutes, half an hour closer to London, you probably had another one on the front or
Yeah.
another.
Yep.
Yeah.
well,
Maybe not maybe 11 million, but 2 million. Let's say that. So
Yeah.
jack it up a little bit. But hey, speaking of the cost of things, how do you pay for it?
well, depending. Some people are relocating, as Ryan suggested, selling their homes in Toronto and bringing cash offers down. Kind of making it harder for the first-time home buyers to bring their financing options in, which is the second option. Obtaining a mortgage to fund your house purchase. So there's a lot to go around with like a mortgage, but kind of the basic is just making sure your financial picture is there and working together with professionals like Ryan and myself to get you where you need to be. So I have a lot of knowledge in the mortgage industry, rates, creativity for approvals, structuring, different things like that. And then Ryan helps with, getting those offers accepted, right? Being creative for those first-time home buyers that need financing options in, but going up against, cash offers. So I also do feel for those first-time home buyers. Sometimes we see them putting in 10 offers before one's being accepted.
Wow.
And having to wipe conditions out and stuff too, right?
You know,
5 years ago,
Stronger
everybody
the
had a home
offer, right?
inspection.
Yep.
Nowadays, people might not.
yeah, and sometimes that's where we work in, do they have some family that can walk through the house that maybe have industry knowledge in home improvements or construction, or they can do like a little home inspection. If it's a newer house, there's a little bit less risk there, right? They can go through, assess the house, talk to their agent, talk to us, and just really weigh the pros and the cons to waiving something like that, right? So sometimes taking out the home inspection, if it's reasonable, and leaving a financing clause can sometimes give that competitive edge. So different things like that. We've negotiated things all the time, and each come back and say, "Oh, that was a great idea," and just help each other whatever we can with our clients. So
Yeah, I find CIBC too. They give the buyer a really accurate idea of what's going on with their finances, and if it is the right time for them to be writing an offer before they write an offer. Some lenders are maybe not so realistic with that. But CIBC is great for just giving the clients an accurate picture of like where they stand today and what price point of home they should be looking at, because like that's the first step. If there's no real point of going and looking at a house if you're not at the point where you're prepared to get approved for a mortgage or have that down payment.
I wanted to ask you a bit about the stress test. The criteria. Now, it's still 25 years is the max mortgage right now, right?
25 years is the max mortgage if you have less than 20% down.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you do have 20% down, or you're doing like a transfer in or a refinance, you can actually go out to 30 years amortization. So that's ideal for like rental properties. It's good to have a mortgage on your rental property. It's good to have that interest giving you a little bit of a tax deduction there, right? So, the other reason for somebody that might be refinancing is if there's a reason that we need to free up some cash flow per month. So you can just reduce the payments a little bit, get yourself into a better spot, and then there's always ways to prepay your mortgage faster. So then we can look at it after a year or two, and things are caught up, and get back to the 25 year, or try to shave off some years if you've added on those extra 5.
Gotcha. What are some of the other elements of the stress test component? Because I haven't gone for a mortgage for quite a while, so I have one, but what are those elements?
So the stress test is just actually one piece of the B20 rules that the government brought out in January of 2018.
Okay.
So the stress test is one of the major things where you essentially have to qualify on a higher rate than what you're actually paying on to protect the mortgage holder from rates rising, and when it comes upon renewal time that their payment doesn't jump, that it's too much of a shock for them and they may not be able to afford their house. So generally it's about 2% higher, 5.19% if it's a less than 20% deal, 20% down deal, and 2% if it's maybe like a refinance. So it's whatever greater of the two, 5.19 or 2%. So that's where the experts come in and make sure we do the proper one for you. And then the second is really the banks need to document proper affordability. So just making sure that we go through, so I go through the affordability right at the beginning. That's why CIBC gives such a great picture, is I don't just sit down and verbally go through numbers here and there. We get the documents, we validate them from the beginning, because we have to send those documents in before we can even go forward with an application. And if we're not providing documents, we could be putting clients in houses that they cannot afford and later on losing them. So that was kind of the two, I guess, cautions that the government were trying to cover off, was the stress test and payments becoming not affordable, and the fact that we were able to just give mortgages, not just CIBC, but all the banks out there, just easy. Oh, you don't have that document, no big deal. And just really just putting people in mortgages. And that doesn't mean that we didn't do the right thing. We're a small town. A lot of us have great integrity here, but it's still the fact that people's lives change, and we need to make sure that we have, that proper income, anticipated changes in the income that could affect it maybe in the next year or two. Somebody transitioning from Toronto to Chatham, if they can't work remote, does that make sense? And those are things that our underwriters will ask us. So the more I know what's kind of going to come the more I can go over in the pre-approval and ask those questions to give a more accurate to kind of cover off the stress test and everything else from there.
Keep in mind with the federal election coming too, that all might change. Shear's talking
I'm
getting rid of the stress test and pushing it to a 30-year amortization, right?
It's interesting because they did say they saw a little bit of cooling in the Toronto and the Vancouver market, but they didn't see it bring as much change as they anticipated.
Yeah.
So even before the election came up, there was talks of maybe re-looking at it and kind of loosening up on areas of it. But nothing's really come out other than that government incentive grant, or I guess equity ownership program. So
That was a little bit recently, right?
yeah, that was just September of 2019 that came out. So government owns a portion of your house, but gives you a little bit more of an upfront down payment.
And I guess if anybody's listening or watching this after the election, then whatever happened was a great idea, and congratulations. Anyhow, I wanted to ask you.
We support everyone.
We support everyone. So I wanted to ask you. So there must have been these changes that have come in. Have you adjusted how you're approaching people you work with? Your customers? Are you changing?
As a realtor, like we always try to have that conversation and find out if they're working with a lender and how much what stage they're at with a lender, and if they haven't. I mean, it's typically buyers. They'll see a house and they'll get excited and they'll call you and you want to see it, but as a realtor, you want to kind of not, help them get approved for the financing first. That's the major step. That's the major hurdle. I mean, if you can't get the financing, there's no point of, it's just going to be disappointing getting excited about a house that you really can't have. So first step is having them talk to someone like Ashley, a knowledgeable mortgage advisor, and get a solid pre-approval.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And I think that's where it changed a little bit is agents that I was a branch manager before, so I always worked with agents and people in the community, but it was always important to have a pre-approval or an affordability meeting in place, but it was so much easier to get mortgages approved that it wasn't as kind of nerve-wracking if they didn't have something in place yet. And I found now that 2018 is coming up, Ryan's really been, having that, you need to go see somebody rather than you should, right? It's more of a necessity now, right?
Because say you haven't even gathered those documents, put an offer, and you've got a conditional offer, best case scenario, it's going to be 7 or 10 days. And those, with all the people that seem to need to sign off on a mortgage at a bank, you're going to be cutting it close. So it's best to get the ball rolling early before you even go out and look.
Yeah.
So that's part of the realtor's job too, is just like kind of educating the consumer and
Sales period, right? Realtors obviously selling a bit more of a high investment valued item or whatever, but sales period, if you can't educate your client, then somebody's probably going to be doing it for you.
Yep.
So I'm going to talk about one of my horror stories just for a moment. Something I learned, and hopefully you can share this. I bought a property. This was in my house. I bought a property that I was preparing to rent. It was great. It was the middle of winter. I had made all the phone calls. I want to point out, I made all the phone calls to the utility companies, and not to blame any utility company specifically. There was one that didn't get back to me, and it was one of those things where I forgot to follow up with them. They were very efficient at making sure that the utility was cut off the day that the house closed. And when I went in that night, the property didn't have heat, and it had water, as I discovered, because one of the pipes had burst. And it was good times. So anybody buying a property, just remember, keep following up with all of the utility companies. Yeah.
But that's with anyone. Right?
Anyone.
I mean,
Anyone.
we all are human, and we all, I try very hard to give great customer service. Ryan does too. Even any branch person at any bank, I'm sure, tries to give best service, but we're all human, and sometimes things fall off the table, right? And I did speak to someone where I came in, 5 days into their financing, and I didn't hear back and this, and at some point as a consumer we have to take responsibility too.
Oh, it's on
right?
me.
No, I'm not talking about you, because you said make sure you follow up, right?
As the consumer, make
Yeah.
sure you keep following up,
Yeah.
right? Like it is not their responsibility to call you. You keep calling.
Well, I think it is to a point. I think it's both of us,
Sure,
right? Like if I
that-
didn't call my clients back, I would not have a good reputation.
That's fair.
Right? But I mean, we're all human. So it's just kind of that balance
Not
where,
in economic development.
yeah, right.
Well, you did get the chip inserted, so yeah, you're
exactly,
partly
exactly.
Android.
Well, and one thing that really works well too for all of this is establishing great communication from the beginning.
Yes.
So Ryan and I, we can text, call, email any time of the day, night, whatever, it doesn't matter. Clients, I always get permission to be able to speak with their agent, not about their personal details, but just in regards to the home buying process. It makes things so much smoother on all ends, and everybody's informed, and everybody works together, and everything comes together so much nicer.
So as a realtor, I have a package that I send after a deal's firm, and then say you've got like 3 weeks leading up to closing, just like numbers, Cogeco, Rogers, Integris, and just constantly reminding them, make sure you get the utilities hooked up, transferred into your name for that October 1st closing, and home insurance as well, right? Mm-hmm. What if day 1 or 2, a lot of times, a buyer's current house isn't closing until a couple weeks later, they don't go and live there for a couple weeks. You want to make sure day 1 that October 1st, when you own that new home, that you've got home insurance, because you never know what could happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're liable if it's not covered. So, and that'd be terrible, but you got to make sure that coverage is on there, obviously.
No, that's really good advice and good things, especially those first time home buyers who don't know that, right?
Yep.
Who just think, hey, well, I'll get insurance at some point. No, you got get it.
Most first-time home buyers don't even understand how the down payment makes it to the lawyer, right? So they just take it from my account, right? That's the question, right? Where a lot of the times it's no, you have to prepare a draft, you have to bring it, and it's a conversation I generally have to have with a first-time home buyer 2 or 3 times for them to understand that concept, right? Yeah. And then you think about all the utilities and home insurance. They've never had home insurance, right? Bridging it from one to another. Maybe it was a first-time home buyer. They never had to bridge insurance from one house to another. So those are really great value adds to give to a client on Ryan's behalf.
That's awesome. Anything else you want to add in? I realized we've been going for half an hour now. It's boom. Amazing.
What's the actual time? Is it 30 minutes of the
For the podcast
Typically 35?
goes 20 to 40. How's that? You will know because the light will go out here and then we'll stop recording, and we've done it once. We don't get to say goodbye. I have to come back afterwards and say goodbye. But,
I don't really have anything to add, but just to summarize on the mortgage side of things, just starting with understanding your financial plan, meeting with the professionals to then help you with that plan. Income, employment, debt, credit history, savings, life events. Those are the 6 kind of main topics that we should be going through. But then from that meeting, it then will help you get prepared for kind of the next sort of thing. So there's going to be home inspection fees, legal fees. There's going to be sales tax that you have to pay at the lawyer on your insurer's premium. If you
land transfer.
Yeah, if you're not a first-time home buyer, appraisal, lawyer fees, right? A lawyer's going to charge for their services. So there's so many things more on top of just having your finances in order. Clients think they just need 5% down, first-time home buyers, but there's all these additional costs, right? At CIBC, we have to validate that they have a little bit of extra money to make sure that we're not putting a client into a situation where they can't afford the end result after getting approved, right? So one of my worst experiences is probably getting that panicked call from an agent saying, I was just given approval from this institution and they've now taken it back, right? So it's hard to know, it is, but making sure you leave that meeting feeling like, those things were covered off. The down payment, mortgage, fees, expenses. Those clients that I generally sit down with after I get the panic call usually say things like, wow, I didn't get this much information the first time. So between speaking with your agent and maybe the professional, maybe some friends and family, jot those advice pieces down and ask questions. Ask your agent, ask us, ask trusted people. And if it doesn't feel right, get a second opinion. I will sit down with anyone, even if they decide to go with BMO, TD, RBC, just for that second opinion, so they know that they are, they got good advice, right? Sure. Because if I'm saying the same thing, then hey, it's good. And if say something goes wrong, you already have somebody that knows what's going on.
Yeah. It's great for relationship building too.
Yes.
Mind you.
Yeah. Don't you think the problem is too, a lot of people are carrying credit card debt?
There is more debt today than we have in history. Ever.
That seems to be something that I'm...
Debt to asset.
Yeah.
But that's also where these meetings come in place, because some of those panicked deals or my pre-approvals don't always happen right away. I do remember a Wallaceburg client, I'm getting one of those calls, that they've been pre-approved, went through the process, were declined when they put an offer in. Came to me, I almost had it approved, but we needed some documents that couldn't be emailed or faxed, and so we lost out. They wouldn't give an extension. I am happy to say they're in a house this year. They took my advice on what to do. They did that, and I was able to get them approved this year. Great. So it's not always about, do they have debt? Do they not? What's the down payment? What's this? Yes, those things can be, very impactful to your buying power. But if you sit down and you do these things and you have the right person doing it for you, you will either walk away with an affordability certificate or a plan to get where you need to go.
Perfect.
At least that's what I will do.
Yeah. That's great.
On your point of the credit card debt, we recently, it was last week, had a large conference. It was a Women's Leadership Network conference.
Yeah. Yep.
And at the session, we had a financial planner up there discussing a little bit about business, but a lot about just life finances, because that was a big thing that came back that said, just let's get some of that. And one of the big things you touched on was credit card debt, and getting that under control. And
people seem to be downplaying how harmful it can be to carry a balance. That's what and I hear that every couple of weeks.
Credit cards to transfer balances.
And they're not
instant gratification.
Just living above their means.
That's the trouble, though, right? I mean, a housing market gets stress tests put on against it, but everything else that you want to get in life could be financed like that, right?
Oh, exactly.
Finance,
temperaments, furniture, anything.
Yeah.
Right?
And they keep giving it to you, too. Even if you just make your minimum.
For 12 months. And please don't pay for 12 months, because that...
Yeah, that's right.
D-Day the next day, you're getting dinged.
One of my favorite examples was that she gave at the session was, I haven't seen the episode, but I guess there was a Sex and the City episode where they added up the... No, you know what? If I had, I'd feel like I would speak more authoritatively on this. Look, man, I'm married. I watch all kinds of weird stuff.
Likewise.
I didn't see the episode going in the Sex and the City direction. But.
No, I know. But so here's what happened. The one of the people in the show added up how much her shoe collection was worth, and it was $80,000, which is where I looked at my wife and went, "Ha ha! Yeah, how's your wall of shoes doing?"
but she's single and lives in New York.
Apparently she wanted to buy a house or this sort of thing. Couldn't figure out where the money was going, and finally figured it out.
But that is a lot of it. It's so digital now. They don't know where it goes.
Through consultations with business owners, I tell them every day to make sure you can make it as easy for somebody to pay you as possible. So if you don't have debit or credit terminal, POS payment processor, you're very likely missing out on easy money, right? I think about myself. I take a piece of plastic in the shape of a card out of my wallet and I smack a machine and I've spent money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully I got it in the bank at the end of the month.
Convenience, right? Humans love convenience. Absolutely.
But it makes it harder to track. It's easier to spend money and not realize where it goes when you're using debit, credit, things like that.
Well, this is why I use Taylor's credit card. It's
exactly
personal one, just for the record.
Huge limit.
Huge limit.
And I don't look at my statements. I just pay the balance. I hate budgeting because I don't want to know how stupid I am with spending. It's crazy. We live in a
so when we're done here, we're all going to go down the street, and it's all on me.
It's just
it's on him.
It's interesting.
Anybody on the podcast is welcome to join.
Welcome to join. Yeah.
Going to Sport Check. Meet there at 4.
If only this wasn't pre-taped and
Got you.
it's not live. It's not live. We learned the lesson. Okay. Well, that's it from everything I've got. Taylor, you got anything
I think
you want to mention?
I don't know, all kinds. I don't know if Ryan, you got
I
something.
might just talk about the so the next thing for our United Way campaign is the commissions for a cause. So we're taking applications. Our brokerage is going to list a house, and then we waive our commission fee. We sell the house for free, waive the commission, and with the agreement that the seller donates the commission back to United Way.
Gotcha.
And they get a tax receipt. So that's the next thing that should raise.
Some pretty
I mean, probably a few $1,000s at least, maybe more for the United Way. That they're 30 funded programs that stays right in the community. So
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
As realtors too, we've seen a lot of the need. We get to know our clients pretty well, right? So, and there's a big need in this. I'm sure in a lot of communities, but I think maybe a bit more so here too. There's a lot of people that are very well off, but there's a lot of people that are kind of struggling too, right? So
little vulnerable.
Yeah, the United Way does a lot of good, and hopefully we can hit the goal this year and make people's lives better.
I think just even the United Way helps all, levels of families, whether they're struggling or not. There's things that they provide in schools that families don't even realize their children are taking advantage of. Their support program. I have 3 children, so I hear all different things, but even support programs the school my daughter is going to is going through a whole bunch of, just staff issues, child issues, just teenage, grade 8s mostly, right? And just talking with the school, there's programs like restorative justice out there where people can go bring their child, doesn't matter what income threshold you are at, and their child can get help, right? And take cognitive therapy. Those are expensive sessions to fund yourself, right? So I just know some families that have taken advantage of that, and it didn't matter where they came from. They didn't do you have to make less than this to get. So they may have some programs like that, but they also have a lot of programs that adhere to the whole population.
Yeah.
Just a great campaign. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. The United Way was over at the event last week, selling 50/50 tickets, so I know that part. And you're selling them right out of the back of your truck, so people see you driving around, they can just stop you and buy.
Yeah, just flag me down.
Just flag
Absolutely.
you down. Well, I've got his credit card, so I'm going to buy how much you need.
I have a POS machine actually.
Wow.
There you go.
The best deal is the 200 tickets for $50. That seems to be what a lot of people are going for. But
$50 hauler, right?
Taylor didn't buy any last week at hockey. He was talking about buying some this
Oh, calling you out.
That'll be edited.
But the Rum Runners event was awesome. It was a lot of fun at the airport. It was a big dinner.
Oh, good.
Dancing at the airport. It was a really good event actually. And the golf tournament was a big success last weekend. And now we got the 50/50. It'll be drawn in a week from Friday, and then hopefully this Commissions for a Cause is great success. And
It's great.
yeah.
I've got UWOC, so uwock.ca. That's the United Way of Chatham-Kent's website.
Yep.
Is there anywhere else where they should be looking? Anything in your notes over there? Or just send them to the United Way of CK, so uwock.ca.
Yeah, or the Facebook page. They're on all those.
Yeah.
They're on all the social medias. It's kids5050.ca. You can also buy the buy 50/50 tickets right online.
.ca. Okay, I'll make a note of that one. And your website is advancedrealty.ca.
Yep.
Where would people find you, Ashley?
So, I do have a website through CIBC, but a lot of people just type in Mobile Mortgage Advisor into Google for Ashley, and it'll pop up on LinkedIn, Facebook, CIBC. I'm sorry, I don't actually have my CIBC website. It's like cibcmortgageadvisor.com/Ashley Ewald.
Something like that.
Just Google you. Got it.
So you
Okay.
type Ashley Ewald in, I will pop up.
You're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram, Facebook.
Okay.
New
LinkedIn.
economy.
Yeah.
We're available 24/7.
You're on the
My-
interwebs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only message Ryan after the hours of 2 a.m. Maybe before 7. He did just say 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, I worked my wedding day. I worked Christmas Day this year. I showed a house.
He's still married.
Yep. I have a very understanding wife. I went to a client's house once at 2 a.m. because that's what they wanted, to get the deal done. The husband worked in Leamington. He was leaving at 5 a.m. and I knew I wouldn't be awake by then. So this was... well, yeah.
We do what
I
we
mean, a
have to
local
do.
realtor will do pretty much whatever it takes to get the deal
Hey,
done.
you send me those crazy requests too. I have to make calls at 1 a.m. for clients and stuff
Yeah.
like that. We do what we have to do to, help people. And we understand that the environment's changing. People do things all different times of the day.
100%.
So.
It's a competitive landscape. I was just listening to a podcast yesterday, the guy who started Shake Shack in the States, and he said, like, everyone's in the hospitality industry. And so I always try to, drill that. It drives me nuts if I'm trying to reach a service provider that I'm trying to hire and I can't reach them at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. It's a competitive world. You got to be available all the time. I'll get back to people 10, 11 o'clock at night. We're texting with people, and it's just, I think I kind of like it myself, but it's different. Yeah, it's just kind of the reality of the business world these days, and people, consumers will move on from you if they don't think you're giving them the kind of attention that they deserve. And there's other options out there, right? Especially in real estate. So
Yeah, our markets are very competitive.
We're going to end some solid business advice right there.
You got that right. Yeah, customer service 101.
Yeah.
Ashley, Ryan, thank you. Taylor?
Yeah, I will just
Pleasure.
say Etsy workshop tomorrow night at the Bradley Center, and this is Small Business Month just starting today, October 1st, for the rest of the month. So check out our ECDev calendar, and
Yep.
there's a boatload of stuff coming up. So
just want to say thank you to you guys both for having us. It's
Yes.
been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you.
appreciate you coming.
Awesome. Okay. We're all done.
We're done.
Bye.
Stay classy, Chatham-Kent.
That's right.